start, housekeeping measure. CIIC, thank you. I don't have to introduce ourselves here at my own. Thank you for taking the time to stop and move 6. Thank you for stopping and move 6. If you don't have that on the mic on. So there goes, the mic is on. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. And of course, I want to start off by thanking DCJS for putting this together. They do it, of course, every year, and they offered me to do the introduction, and I said, no, I got this one. And you have to click it in your control. And I'm going to talk to you this morning about our critical incident investigations course. And it's presented by, you see the name in big headlights, and they put us on TV, though. Deputy Chief Mark Turner, Deputy Chief of Policy, Planning and Training, and we're putting together intel as well. And our critical incident investigation course, very crucial to me, but I feel it necessary to start and talk a little bit about myself. And first and foremost, this past Monday, I have made 1 year at the New York State Attorney General's office. Me and my colleagues who have retired need to know that I am very, very, very grateful for them and the support. And I consider this year very successful. Not too far from 28 Liberty, it's One Police Plaza in New York City. I walked over from One Police Plaza into 28 Liberty after a quarter century of policing. 24 with the NYPD, one of them on Rikers Island as a correctional officer. And I did everything from patrol to training and in between. But with the training, there were certain components that I always wanted to pour in. So when I think about our critical incident investigation course, I feel it necessary to tell you I always wanted it to be enduring. Enduring, I wanted the officers to feel the program, to want to be a part of the program, to know anything that we put together was about them. I wanted it to be sustainable. I wanted the organization, in this particular case, that's the NYPD, I wanted it to sustain. I just didn't want it to be a Willy one. I wanted to go on. I imbued it always with wellness. What does doing this do to you? In the police business, you see horrific things. You see horrible things, and then you go on to the next episode. If you don't believe that that's not going to have an effect on you, then you're lying to yourself. So always, wellness is a part of it. At the heart of it is integrity. Integrity. Policing each other. So I was instrumental in creating a few transformative programs. One, very quickly, smart policing. Simply put, a talk down before a takedown. A talk down before a takedown. And we taught it to over 22,000 officers. The second was field training. If any of you know, or you don't know what I'm about to tell you, for 10 years, New York City had a program called Impact. Impact lasted for 10 years. 10 years. We upended Impact in 3 months. All it was mentoring 101. We went to the leadership and we said, give us your best mentors and let them go in front of the newest of the new. Then it was crisis intervention, team training, dealing with emotionally distressed and or disturbed individuals. Ingredients that we poured in. With some of those programs that are still in that department right now, I remember being a sergeant in the 4-6 precinct. It's kind of funny because one of my proteges is in the room. And you would know that the 4-6 precinct, you don't have to know it numerically, but all you need to know is this place is the busiest, one of the busiest commands in the city. And at the end of the night, if you don't answer all your jobs, it's called a backlog report. I didn't want to write that report. This newly minted sergeant didn't want to do it. So with that, I had 3 jobs on my queue. One was a fight in a bodega, one was a fight in an apartment, and the other one was a person off their meds. And I just wanted to go to the house and say, listen, take your meds so I don't have to write this report. I don't want to write another report. And also I saw a domestic violence sergeant, no knock to that person. They seemed very comfortable, and I'm thinking domestic violence, domestic fight, you might want to get over there. But somehow this is on my
Watch, I have to do it. Story, here's the point. I go to the apartment. I knock on the door. The person inside, they're exhausted. Whatever's going on in that apartment, they're playing tag, get it. They don't want nothing to do with what's going on in that house. As an officer, I remember opening the door slightly. Because tactically, the man, he was older, he didn't really pose a threat to me. I opened the door, and standing before me was someone 6'2", muscle on muscle, and he looked me in the eye, and he said, "Welcome to my hell." And I thought I should have went to the bodega job. But I did what cops do all the time. I stayed the distance. I had covered by his time brought safety. I talked to him, he put on his clothes, he went to the hospital with his father. What got me to writing the program was the officer right next to me. He started putting on his gloves. You see, he was thinking about the next job that he had to go to. And that scared me. I knew he was guessing. He didn't know, I didn't know. Later on, we found out that this guy thought he was in Kandahar. He thought he was fighting in a war. Neither that officer or I were prepared to go into that apartment without something happening catastrophically. So I knew I'd have to write a program about that. And I poured it into smart policing and poured it into CIIC. The last to which I was called to 1PP again. This time by a chief, and at the time my rank was lieutenant. Very happy lieutenant, but I liked being captain better. And he called me in and he showed me something that was quite disturbing. It was right in the aftermath of Ghana, an incident that had happened on Staten Island. In it, there was a domestic incident. In it, there was violence. In it, there was an arrest. But the person that was handcuffed was pregnant. She spat the officer in his face. That was disgusting. That was wrong. What he then did made the situation even worse. While she's handcuffed, he became violent. Hit her in the face, hit her throughout the body, and he also hit other individuals. What that person then turned to me and said, "I want you to go to BMOC." BMOC is the training session for sergeants newly promoted. And he wants one question on the floor. What was absent from that incident? When I looked at that incident, I realized no sergeant had been called. No supervisor had been called. So the question on the floor to the sergeants, what's missing? But there was also a golden nugget. It was go to the officers while we were training smart policing and then ask them, can you police yourselves? It was easy for me to say a quick yes, because I had that gray shirt. I wasn't one of those growing into executive status that forgot that I put on, in our case, a gray shirt, that I had been 6 months in the academy. And I remembered one of the golden nuggets on the walls that they would have at our old academy. And it said, no good cop would accept the behavior of a bad. And so when I put this program together, it had all of those ingredients that I wanted to have for this our program. But I have to put out a disclaimer. In the investigations unit that I have, OSI, Mitch, put you on the spot. You're module 1. There's 20 some odd modules up here. It's the reason why we started with you, but I also have major investigations in the room, and its leader, OCTF. When we put this program together, all of you collectively will have to go out with your people. I see the talent in that 1 year. It's in the room. And we want to showcase what we have. But why OSI? Because 3 years ago, or even before that, by executive order, the then Governor Cuomo signed the 62 counties, at least 62 counties, it used to go to the district attorney. Any death caused by, related to, a sworn person, police officer or peace officer goes to the Attorney General. And it was codified by the state legislature. And still we find Issues we're facing with newly elected or appointed officials that are not aware of the executive law. Ensuring that all officials are aware of this executive law is crucial and consistent to enforcement and our legal compliance. And not just that, that module will show case what they do. But I assure you that our critical incident investigations course is not monolithic. It's not simply about one topic, one law. It's about us at the Office of the Attorney General and the investigations in particular, going around the state we have everything from Buffalo to Long Island and everything in between, our major cities and our small hamlets, to say that we want to be able to help you as it relates to investigations. So we'll start the day off with Module 1, OSI, you'll be up, and we'll talk about what we have to talk about in the form of 70B. Going throughout the state and how the Office of the AG investigates. This is a proof that it's not monolithic, that it won't be one shot. There'll be some people in the room that know how to secure a crime scene, that they know what to do when they arrive, but it's not a gotcha moment, not at all. The importance of securing a crime scene to preserve evidence and to reduce contamination. When I walked through the door and I saw some of the things that was going on and transpiring both in an investigation field and also with docs, corrections, this was a problem. So when we created this course, we want to be able to tighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to say it now to individuals in the room, if you're an expert in any of these areas, this office and this individual is looking for you to help us expand and make this program better. What are your initial steps that you're considering? Restricting access, documenting the crime scene with photographs and sketches, identifying potential witnesses. And this, of course, is in conjunction with correctional staff. If done correctly, that chain of custody of that information helps to not just preserve, but also protect the integrity of the overall programs and investigation. Our third module will be evidence collection. But what type of evidence? Evidence that we know you have weapons, blood samples, clothing, vehicles. I'm very much looking forward to working in tandem with our state troopers. I think they have the premier investigative piece on vehicles and any other items that might be relevant to an investigation. Here again, not a gotcha moment. And for those of you who are experienced in investigations, when we put this program together, someone came up to me and said, I would like to go to a training. Okay? It's December. I think the training was in Puerto Rico. I started saying December, Puerto Rico. That's great. I'd like to go. The truth of the matter is, I don't look to see where you're sitting. I'm also looking to see where you stand. And so if I have this program, I'm looking forward to that same person who gave me that slip of paper, not to tell me they want to sit, show me where you stand, show me what you do, showcase it around the state in the form of training. Evidence collection comes to preservation of, and the chain of custody, strictly maintain the collect evidence. All of this is bolstered. We talk to our attorneys, and this is what they're looking for to make for a stronger case. The fourth module, forensic autopsies. We're working with not turning anyone into an ME, but I even believe at our office we'll be liaisoning with it, maybe even bring on a person that will work directly with the ME. But in this particular case, it's taking a deeper dive. I've heard psychological autopsies, especially when it comes to suicides. So here, we want to take a deeper dive, have that officer, detective, any agent, look deeper into what we have. And the role of that autopsy is really to look at the forensic behind it. And by that, again, the ballistics, the DNA testing, the toxicology report, our vehicle analysis, fingerprint analysis. All of these things strengthen and bolster the investigative piece of where we're going. Module 5 is on-site interviews and statements, witness statements, techniques for conducting interviews and interview all potential witnesses including the inmates and staff. And that comes with restrictions. I won't go way into the weeds, but getting information is key. Talking to the individuals that are present is vitally important. And even though I'm not going to go back, but to me, a crime scene, and I learned it, if there was something that happened in an apartment, you might want to use the whole floor. If it happened on the whole floor, you might want to use the floor above and the floor below. Those are the things that we intend to teach at this course. Not just this person died in this particular cell area at this particular bed. No, that whole area is going to be considered a crime scene. And the only way we can do it is to train to it. Documenting statements accurately, collecting that adds to the credibility and the reliability of the information received. We then move to Module 6. Identifying and reviewing relevant footage, determining the sequence of events, identifying suspects, corroborating those witnesses, interrogating, and forming a timeline. I've watched, and it's not just now with OSI, I've watched it with OCTF, NYU. Timelines are important. If I didn't mention that before, we have a variety of units. Forming a timeline, very, very important. Module 7, dealing with external agencies, the importance of interagency cooperation. External to the state, local, again with the forensic autopsy, having a liaison with the ME's office, having a contact within the ME's office, and then understanding that those agents have to do a deeper dive, and less on the science side, but going through all of the things that I mentioned earlier, the ballistics and the fingerprints. And federal officers, I'm going to double back towards that. It's going to have maybe a task force kick to it. So strategies for effective collaboration. Develop joint trainings and protocols. Here, DCJS gives us an opportunity to say, we think that's the pathway forward. I think that's one of the reasons why we gathered everybody together, so that they can network. Doing so, we can have training protocols in place. And you collaborate, you create a standardized procedure, joint training programs, and shared protocols. So when you take this course, and I'll probably reiterate this later on, we'll have a booklet, and we'll have ways to, of course, go online, and everyone in the course will be able to interact with their cohorts and form not just a bond, but a network, a strong network. Law enforcement, maybe even by design, has confederated components where everybody works in their own different sphere. But we're in the midst of fighting crime and trying to bring about better results. I think the best way to go forward is to work collaboratively. And we leverage those shared resources and expertise, and we encourage resource sharing. And again, those cohorts that will go through the training, they'll link with the previous cohorts, and again, they form a stronger network. Another module 8, analysis of communication. Examine inmate communications, including phone calls, letters, and emails, for any information or indication related to that homicide or that death. Although what I'm about to point out wasn't a homicide or a death, and it may have come up in another slide, John Pratt, I'm going to kind of prop you on for a second, we had a call. There was a threat against the AG. We're forming an intel unit. And in it says that this inmate that's getting ready to leave out in the next few minutes and moments from the jail saw fit to write a letter, I'm going to kill you. Along the line. I'm leaving cell block C, but before I come out, I'm going to take you out. And of course, it was taken seriously. John, without much ado, we took a deep dive in it. We looked it out, broke it down, and we found out that the person, he didn't do it.
He didn't do it. The person was supposed to leave in 10 days from the date we got the letter. The coordinator with Doc's homicide. They sent a team of investigators, along with one of our detectives from multiple offices. Interviewed the inmate, interviewed other witnesses on that block, and learned that that particular inmate was the subject of a squad incident from another inmate in that same corrections.
In time past, I wanted to rush the judgment. You're leaving, but you're not leaving anytime soon. Whatever was the reason behind it, we took the deeper dive. And that's what I would like to do, is share that information, share that story, and thank you, John, and share it statewide, because it showed that this individual was actually the victim and not the villain. Techniques and analysis for interpretation. Making patterns and links. Patterns and links. Stop you before I go into the content. Patterns and links. Again, putting together an intel unit, and we'll have this as a component of the training. We saw at one of our major events, we had the trial of the former president. The threat level in February went up 200%. 200% in the threats. That was a cause for concern. Not simply because I came from the NYPD, I have a general philosophy and it goes something like this: numbers have narratives. Numbers have narratives. You have 200%. What do you got? Let's look at the threats. 200 threats, let's say, 100 threats. It actually turned out to be 12 people making calls around the clock. 4 of them in particular. So what do? We formulated a plan. We formulated a plan, and we talked to those 4 individuals. There was an arrest made in one of those 4, but we saw that there was a precipitous drop in the threats, connecting the patterns and links, and utilizing software tools to identify those patterns and links. We just didn't stay stationary. We took those threats and we put them into categories 3, 2, and 1. 3 being a futuristic threat. Second, there's an immediate threat, but it has like a general, and then there's one that means that that person is going to be actionable, and that's the one that we're going to take. In the immediate, that's the one we're going to act on first. But then connecting the dots and mapping those communication links, content analysis, looking at the language and the tone and the frequency of communications. That's how we made that connection. And of course, we have metadata and geolocation analysis, extract and interpret metadata from that communication, such as a timestamp and an IP address. All of these things that we're already using with our connections. We believe that this course will be able to expand on that. Module 9, this is where we call, in this particular case, our attorneys. This will be handled by them. This module will come up, and they'll talk about legal standards for investigations. The goal here, highlighting it in its most salient points, ensure that all investigative procedures comply with legal standards and the rights of, in this particular case, inmates and also correctional officers or whoever else we will be interviewing. When putting this together in the time frame that I had, it all comes down to obtaining warrants and the handling of evidence. When we interviewed the attorneys for this course, those were the 1-2 punch. I had the opportunity to speak on Wednesday about reproductive access and safety, and out-of-state warrants came up. And even then, I was learning as I was teaching. So, obtaining warrants and handling evidence, obtaining warrants when necessary, and ensuring the proper handling of said evidence. Our Module 10 is a behavioral analysis. Principles of behavioral analysis is to conduct behavioral analysis of potential suspects to identify motives, patterns, and any inconsistencies in the behavior and or statements of the persons. Again, we don't believe we'll turn you into experts with this 1-week course, but what I remember saying, I thought about that young man, that officer that was with me that night who threw on his gloves. The people, I knew that that officer was guessing. He was guessing at what was going on. That's not a negative judgment, that was just a critique, not a criticism. He was guessing that you heard. So we talk about what we have to talk about. We become better at investigations. And again, if you're an experienced investigator, don't be surprised if you get a call from us and ask us at the statewide program. Behavioral analysis, just a little bit of a closer dive, identifying those patterns and motives. Use behavior analysis to understand the suspect's motivations, habits, psychological triggers. Sometimes by going even on the websites that they have and taking a deeper dive at that. Behavioral indicators in interviews and the interrogation that leverages behavioral insight during the interview by observing nonverbal cues. When you take this 1-week course, we'll have that expert can't hurt, it can only help bolster what we're doing and what we're teaching. Writing, and you know that in the form of our communication skills, which is going to be less writing and more on the computer, but components of effective case files, maintaining detailed and accurate documentation of all investigative steps, evidence collected, interviews conducted, and the findings. Everything is subject to review. So when you build your case profile, whatever you're investigating is always going to be subject to review. So in this class, we will again double down on the fact that individuals have to have their things in order. So that's presented in court, it's presented even in an in-house audit, that you'll be able to sufficiently see, and they see that your work will kind of speak for itself. Maintaining clear and concise reports, ensure that all reports are written, clear, concise, in an objective manner, avoid jargon. And then, of course, you'll see throughout the whole training, thorough evidence documentation, chain of custody, properly documenting all evidence, including photographs, physical items, digital data, with precise description, and maintain that clear custody and that clear chain. Module 12 is, of course, the follow-up investigations. By that, you have new evidence. Maybe there's a witness statement that may have changed, or a new witness emerges. Those forensic results, they have to go somewhere. There's a start, there's a middle, and there's an end. And so maybe in an investigation, there's an end, and all properly documented in that investigator's file. Module 13 is investigative challenges and solutions. Common investigative challenges, strategies for overcoming obstacles. So it'll give me and those who are putting this together a few opportunities to bring in people with real world experience. And I'll probably say it again later on. Real world experience, how they have been able to successfully investigate any number of events that came across their table, and any of the obstacles and how they overcame them. Problems, solutions, more problems. It's a puzzle, and we'll help the people who go through this course put it together. Here, I want to highlight challenging multi-agency investigations. The solution, easier said than done at times, establish a unified command structure and a clear communications protocol among the agencies. Regular coordination, meetings, joint task force, and resource sharing and agreements. When I walked in, policy planning and training, I saw that there was a unique opportunity, and one of my first visits in October of last year was to the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And what they said is now bearing out. They said that 2024 was going to be a harbinger of threats to which we had never seen before, or in recent times. What was our solution? One of our detectives assigned to OCI went and is now working with the FBI. Beneficial to them, beneficial to us. Why? Because when we need information in real time, we're living in a time where, unfortunately, fake news is chasing real news out the door. And so we have to be able to decipher in real time what's actually real and what's not real in the form of information. And law enforcement, that may have consequences if you don't have up-to-date information. So putting that person on the task force, I might, quote unquote, lose a person to the office physically, but what did I gain? And I think the rewards and the benefits are still being felt. Having that person with that, the FBI team. Ethical considerations and investigations. Ethical dilemmas in decision making, maintaining integrity and objectivity. Observation, never critical, but you can't have a course if you're not going to be able to talk about the inherent biases that we have. Implicit in nature. But we all took an oath. At the last time of coming before DC CJS on Wednesday. Someone asked what I thought was a very straightforward question. We had a group called Red Rose Rescue. They were militants. But the question on the floor was, what if one of the officers actually kind of sided with Red Rose Rescue? You're a sworn agent, or even I'll prop myself. No one should know my politics. It's irrelevant. I took an oath. Defend the Constitution. Took an oath. State Constitution. It's my oath. My likes and my dislikes, my personality, you can't be serious. You don't know if I'm progressive, you don't know if I'm conservative, that's not up to you. And if I was conservative, and if I'm a progressive, that's okay. But I just happen to be wearing this uniform, I just happen to be in this venerable organization, and you won't know my politics. Here, the ethical dilemmas to decision making and maintaining integrity and objectivity. We won't make any assumptions, but we know that everybody who's sitting in that class knows that that's happening in real time. You may have kind of like a blue lens towards a problem. What's a blue lens? You don't really see what's going on. When I was called to one police plaza, that chief didn't know what my answer was going to be, if I might get pushed back. What I saw is what I saw. There was nobody standing that could defend the indefensible, explain the unexplainable, excuse the inexcusable. So go tell the sergeants what's absent from this thing. You newly minted sergeants. You were never called to the scene. We'll figure it out. Hey, officer, what's wrong with this picture? Even if you were being selfish, take that for example. Selfish. Save yourself. Save me. Don't do it. That's what we were looking for. Ethical dilemmas. That one was based on patrol. In investigations, it's understanding that you're human. And your first inclination might be to want to defend. But when you have the facts in front of you, if you follow the facts, you will not want to defend the indefensible. You will not want to excuse the inexcusable, and you will not want to try to explain something that really couldn't be explained. You follow the facts. The facts can exonerate. The facts may also implicate. That goes to the integrity, and that's always at the heart of any training. Maintaining objectivity and impartiality. Investigators must remain neutral and objective, avoiding personal biases or external pressures that could influence an investigation. This is in real time. But we want to sit at the table and help the investigators and help the officers become better. So this is not going to be a battering ram. This is a discussion. This is not a must do, may do, a choice that we want you to make. Is just the right choice in the form of following that to which you're pledged to do. Adhering to the legal and procedural standards, investigations must follow all legal protocols, including obtaining the warrants for the searches, respect for the rights of the suspects, Mirandize them, avoiding any forms of coercion or unlawful interrogational tactics. It's about ethics, and that will be also taught in this week-long course. Module 15. Case studies and success and lessons learned. Real-world examples, key takeaways. Give me those experts. Give me those people who have been in the trenches. They have stories, and stories happen to those who tell them. And I want them to come to the statewide program and help make those officers and those detectives better at what they are already good at. Better at what they're already good at. At the heart of what we want from that expert, collaboration with multi-agency task force, case studies that have shown that collaborative efforts, the local, state, and federal agencies can lead to a faster case resolution. Maybe we'll show a graphic of it, and be led by the numbers, but that statement speaks, and we believe that we can back it up with the numbers. And the use and the successful use of technology and forensics, those cases where advanced forensic techniques such as DNA analysis, digital forensics, surveillance technology, we're advancing, and we're growing off that in a nanosecond. And so from today to the time that we roll out this program, or to the middle of the program, there may be some other nuanced thing that'll come. We'll bring into the classroom because it'll only make us better, make us stronger. Module 16, advanced investigative techniques. Overview of advanced techniques, again, in technology, application in complex investigation. It's a full stop so that we know, again, that it's not just about OSI or even NYU with the great work that you're doing, Juanita. This is what we call an OCTF. This is what we call special investigations. The talent is in the room. One of the reasons why we formulated this program was someone actually asked the question, what makes you the expert? Where comes the answer? Because if that's your question, you're ready for the answer. It's those individuals that are in these specialized units that I've seen over the year in their service excellence. But I want to grow, if I can say, law enforcement and family. If I want to grow in collaboration. Even minutes or moments before I started this presentation, I met someone and they weren't in law enforcement. But they're here because they see the nexus between what they do and what law enforcement does. Guess what? They'll be part of the training. They can come in. There'll be no closed doors. Open the door, share the work. Again, digital forensics, cybercrime. This is what we want our experts to talk to our people in our class about. Advanced investigative techniques now heavily rely on digital forensics and analysis, data from computers, smartphones, and others. When we did the deeper dive on the 200% increase in threats, of course, part of it was to go and find out IP addresses, and it was good old-fashioned investigations. And I feel the need kind of to share one of the stories. We knocked on the door with one of the individuals, and they said, actually, yeah, I'm making these threats, but it's my chemotherapy. You have to think, chemo's that's serious. Cancer's serious. You know how many people go through this, but they don't wake up taking chemo and then say they're gonna kill somebody. So we just said, are you okay? These letters that you're writing, these things that you're doing, they're not good. You understand, we tracked you down. Having to check it on you. Call stop. And I'm here hoping that they were successful in the treatment. Undercover operations and surveillance technology. We have special investigations and other units. They're going to be up at the podium. No more telling me where you sit, show me where you stand. Show covert operations combined with advanced surveillance technologies like facial recognition, drones, long-range audio monitoring. And we are already doing it. This is, again, not a panacea. They're already doing it. But I'm doing in policy planning and training, the same I just shared among the small group. We're going to take this statewide and see if we can make a new network and expand and continue to expand our team. Module 17. Interpersonal skills for the investigator. Importance of communication, demonstrating empathy, building rapport, witnesses and victims. Knocking on that door and talking to that person who said that they were going through chemotherapy. I saw, and at least I read the exchange, very professional, very level. This person was making serious threats. And the detectives maintained their professionalism, got right to the point, took whatever information they had, and relayed it. It's a building block. Effective communication and active listening skills. Investigators must communicate clearly, of course, and professionally with suspects, victims, and their witnesses. Active listening helps to build rapport. There's an openness that comes with it. You'll see a number up there. It's something that I've always taught in some of the principles, and it was taught to me. It's called the 80-20 principle, and I'm violating it today, only because I have this in my hand. And that's listening 80% of the time and talking 20% of the time. Listening 80%, 80-20 principle. And we'll teach that to our officers and our agents and to our detectives. Showing empathy and emotional intelligence. Demonstrating empathy and emotional intelligence is crucial when dealing with individuals who are in high stress, traumatic situations. This helps to build trust, de-escalation, tension, and the de-escalating those tensions and encourage cooperation with the witnesses. When we look at this course, we may even have a time in which we'll bring a family member in from somebody in prison who may have had a sentence of 2 to 4, 4 to 8 years, I don't know. But that person's not coming home. If the person's in the seat can hear it, not just the corrections, the investigators need to hear it. Things that happen at places we can't see have consequences. Hear the story of this family. My son, my daughter, this person from my family, in prison, and they're not coming home. Last I heard, that wasn't a lifetime sentence. What happened? Well, what does it do to the investigator? It puts them in that mode that there's more than just that individual who was befell by whatever. There's a family behind that. There's a narrative behind that. And when it was recommended to me to go to a family, quite possibly even from a prison, or maybe even have someone on the law enforcement side that was harmed, and I heard one of the speakers say her husband was killed, and yet she's created one of the most, I can't say groundbreaking programs in which she showed the ultimate in empathy. Sure there was anger, sure there was hurt, but she turned that into power, and she did it through empathy. And I was humbled to hear it, humbled when I watch it, and as part of this program, and to the person that recommended it, I thank them. Module 18, stress management, self-care. What does doing this do to you? Listen, we walk around, and especially if you throw on a uniform, you put on a vest, you see yourself as a superhero. Duly know, if you walk around and call yourself a superhero, there's issues with that. So, but you are a superhero. You're a superhero to your community, you're a superhero to your family, and that S on your chest stands for service. You're a service warrior, and you're striving to a service excellence. We're human, we have made mistakes. But you are a superhero, but you're a service warrior. In the training, that's the part that I want to come over. You're a service agent, you're a service warrior working towards service excellence. But to get there, you have to know the signs of stress and burnout. Time passed, maybe through bravado or whatever, an investigator must be aware of the early signs of stress and burnout, such as fatigue, irritability, emotional detachment. Acknowledging these symptoms early allows for timely intervention and preventing negative impacts of personal and well-being and job performance. I read somewhere, no more prizes for predicting the rain. Prizes only go out to those who build arcs. So what's your solution? Encourage the use of health stress relief techniques such as regular physical activity, mindfulness, relaxation, and exercise. Maintaining a balanced lifestyle and proper nutrition, sleep, personal downtime. The WIMP, what's in it for me, helps investigators manage stress once more. The world that we live in has changed even since 2015 when I rolled out CIIC in a big organization called the NYPD. Keep the tape rolling because I say it to them. We had everybody on your feet, we would tell them. We would do a breathing exercise. But you would always hear that murmur in the crowd. Oh, is it going to be one of these classes? No? All right. Wake up. Because what we're doing is life-saving. You heard the experts say you have to take 30 minutes for yourself at a minimum. I don't care if it's reading, money, doing something for yourself if you want to be there in the out years. So we'll talk to our folks in the class about that. Module 19, as we start to wind the whole program up. Continuous learning, I'm a forever learner. When you stop, I even know if I really retire, I have a book in my hand or I'll be doing something. But being a forever learner. Resources for further learning and importance of ongoing professional development. A key component to building this class is continuous education. Those students will be made available to whatever is new in the form of training, including this one, DCJS, and other opportunities because I was a recipient of a police commissioner scholarship as a sergeant in that 4-6 precinct that I talked about. And I was very fortunate to get my master's from Columbia. forever learner. I came back with that knowledge that I had from that school. Because if I learned anything at that school, there's nothing more practical than a good theory. But I didn't just sit on that. I came back to the department, and when asked, I helped create those transformative programs. Many of them are still as active as we speak. Continuous learning and development, won't read it all, but staying updated on emerging trends and technologies. That speaks for itself. The field of criminal investigation is always expanding. Participating in specialized training programs, not just general training. Here, I would consider this specialized training. Continuous development can be achieved by enrolling in those specialized courses. Just sent some of my detectives to a homicide course, which, by the way, you did fantastic, love you. Yeah, because of you, there's going to be 4 more going in the next time. So keep it rolling. Engaging in peer learning and knowledge sharing, peer-to-peer. Again, building that network. You come out of that class, that's your cohort, but then again, you go online and you'll see that that network expands statewide. Module 20, of course, all good things come to an end. So we have our recap of the training, our program, our action plan for implementing those learned skills. And before I even go into that, it will be the third and the last of my stories with something like this, and to tell you why I like to do training. I went into the Transportation Bureau. The job is kind of funny. I ended up going in the last few years of my career in places that I never thought I would work. Transportation was one of them. And I walked through the door and I said, I'm going to create a program in training. What do you think? And the person said, they're never going to listen to you. It's transportation. They don't even know where we are. So what do you mean? I asked another person, what do you think about us creating a program? And they were like, cha-ching. I don't know if that was an answer. So here's what we did. I said, look around you, transportation. What do you see? People that are robbing the place, they're not leaving out here on a horse. They're going out in a car, and those cars have ghost plates. You are the experts when it comes to transportation. So let's talk about what we have to talk about. We have a 2-day program. One, to focus on those ghost plates. And give me the newest of the new right out of the academy, because the second part to it is you might even be afraid to go to TDB or court. So I have a plan that I'm going to build up your competence, and I'm going to build up your confidence, and then it's going to have you go out and engage and do your job. Because right now, and I think at that time, when I say now, at that time, at that place in 2023, I felt that there were people, bad individuals, that were winning by default. They got the door prize because people weren't doing what they had to do. And folks were afraid to go to court, and it was the 800-pound gorilla in the room. So that 2-day program addressed it. I hear good things about the program. It's still up and running. I share it with you to say that there is no place that I can walk into and see the town and ask which direction that we're going, including places that no one thought that those programs would exist. And in the Transportation Bureau, in the particular case, the New York City Police Department, that mentoring program that I put into place is still there. It's not a brag to the person before you, it's to the people who were in the classroom that were doing the work. And I was fortunate to be part of that. Key takeaways, of course, summarize the essential concepts. Remember, we're going to walk out with a book, or they'll have information on readily available about the class. Commitment to continuous improvement. That'll be a model, emphasizing the importance of ongoing learning and professional development in the field of criminal investigations, and encourage participants to seek further training opportunities. And I promise in that classroom, we will talk about those opportunities. Practical applications for learned skills. Investigators should apply skills and strategies learned to real-world investigations. Good morning. Are there any questions about our CIIC program? See, I have a question. Next, I'm going to call when you got a question.
When is the rollout?
We purposely use TCJS as a place to start. I believe that we're going to start in October, and we'll probably start in-house. We'll sample it out. We'll be in White Plains, so we have enough folks, and so maybe by the beginning of 2025, we'll be able to go statewide with it, but we have enough people in-house that we want to do the CIIC with. But thank you for that. Question? Was this stressful? No, but one of the things I wanted to convey, and I wasn't sure if I was able to convey it, we put this program together not as a panacea. OSI and moreover 70B, to me, that was the most obvious place to start. When you have a death, and when I started in law enforcement, if something happened in the form of an officer's actions, it went to that local district attorney. And you had 62 counties, you get 62 results. Why did the then governor do it? We know that we had the George Floyd incident. With the George Floyd incident, we wanted to have transparency. And so that governor did an executive order and gave and shifted that investigation to the AG. In this particular case, the current AG. And then the state legislature, Senate, and the Assembly codified it by law. But what we find in this module 1, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to bring that to light, is that not everybody understands. Even after 3 years, transversing around the state, not everybody really understands what 70B is. And it's just in its 3rd year, and I even believe mandated, you have to have a report. So I strongly urge you, and it comes out in September, if I'm not saying anything wrong. October 1st, something that we should read. But again, I'll talk to individuals about what do you know about 70B, and not in its negative form. They'll say to me, well, I know I have to call you if someone dies. I said, I think you might want to talk to us if the person is seriously injured, likely to die. And I think if we can talk about that, then maybe that can help. Moving away a little bit from Module 1, I'll look at press conferences in which individuals maybe inadvertently make statements where the statute clearly states that this is going to be an investigation handled by the Office of the Attorney General, and immediate statements are made. That's an audit. And you're making a statement, and the facts are not been gathered, and that can be a problem. So we think that if we have this course, we'll be able to talk to the affected parties about it. Major investigations, Juanita, in your house. Great work. But at the same time, I think it's time to take the work that they're doing, if it works, and talk about that statewide. So when I look at the program that we have, either you or someone that you designate will teach that module. OCTF was here on Tuesday, I believe, Chief Lott. They, along with special investigations, they do the undercover work. Those are our experts. But to talk and not jeopardize any case, but to give the skill sets out. Again, the program that we have is not a panacea. It's not an end-all. It's a week-long program. It may grow to 2 weeks, but we truly believe that if you're in this room and you are that person that has the investigative background, and you've done it, you're really good at it, then come, join. We probably can help teach if you're new or in a smaller department. Because again, what I had in my career had a lot of resources. Here the numbers kind of staggering: 35,000 cops, 15,000 civilians, over 50,000. So you have the resources, but not everybody has that. So if I have a small hamlet or a small department, I want to be able to help you with this program. You might see that talent and know that that officer can come in and be an asset for you after taking the course. So I hope I've been able to convey that. I'm a firm believer in just advancing. And I think the things that we're seeing, and especially again highlighted by being here this week, is that we are very, very talented. And I'm hoping that this program that we have taps into that talent. Please, if you have any questions as it relates to this course.
one of the non-law enforcement individuals that's here. By the presentation, we're going to opportunity. I work on the other side, the community side, and I think that this, everyone here builds a lot of confidence, for the families and communities, also for the incarcerated, especially people that have this sentence. So I've seen some of the things that happen inside the system that, because it went unchecked, perpetuated further instigating other incidents. It just gave us this hopelessness. So basically, it's street justice. So I think that was a great presentation, a great program, great training. And I just look forward to the impact that it's going to have on corrections and
Thank you for those comments, and just know that again, in tandem with what you said, I remember being and rolling it out. The person didn't know me. The person was actually in the room, but I won't call him out. And I said, what was one way that I could enhance this program? Without hesitation, the person said, bringing in a family that had someone that was incarcerated, and let everybody hear the story, because there's, just from a humanistic standpoint, that is the thing to do. For me to you, it's early. So between your coffee drinks and some good food that you had this morning, that you took the time to spend with me to talk about this program that we have. I'm very happy again to be working for the Office of the Attorney General. We're doing fantastic work. To my colleagues, to you, you strengthen me, and I know that when we roll out this program, that is done in light of having what I call the talent in the room, and may we all go out and travel safely. And I thank you for your time and attention. Good morning.
I was thinking about that one.
This one's interesting.
What is it about? I thought it was just the research. Is that bad? So what do you think?
I think it's so personal.
One second. Okay, Stan? Really? Have you met many of us? Okay. This is getting